episode number 15 of Outside the Box Thinking. I wanted to cover with you. I just turned the heat on. It is so hot right now. You don't need that. I want to share this thought with you on what the best diet is. Is it plant based? Is it carnivore? Is it vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian? Is it flexitarian? Is it uh, fruits, fruitarian? You know, what is it? Is it a whole foods diet? Right? And I don't like using the word diet. Diet is very, very temporary, and I just don't. I try to refrain from using it. But if we're going to replace the word diet, I would replace it with meal habits, my eating routine, my my current situation. You know, if we're gonna break it down like that, this traffic is horrible. But on this series, I share with you thoughts that not many people, when they have these thoughts, if they do, but you know, there's nothing new under the sun. But these thoughts that I have, I share with you just a different perspective, more outside the norm, contrarian thinking, I would like to say. So, you know, to that topic, I would like to touch on the best diet ever. What what have you guys tried? I want to know in the comments below what you guys have tried for your best diet that's worked for you, right? So I've tried all kinds of things except for this one diet, which I will try it eventually. But as of right now, how I've been going about my life is in experimenting, because what this really is in life is experimenting every day. We just get better at choosing which experiments we want to do on a consistent basis, and we get really good at the ones that we're consistent at doing. And that experience, an experiment, when I tried just doing junk food, that was the first diet that I've ever did, the sad American diet. And now those were the let me correct that that there the the American habits, eating habit style. The American eating design is not set up for success in your day-to-day life. Standing up or being active, or sitting down and being sedentary. Those are the two things you can have the most worst combination ever, is having someone that's sedentary and having someone that is going to be eating a standard American meal on a day-to-day basis, right? So why is that? It's high in cholesterol. It's high in, oh man, this is crazy. Whoa. Man, I gotta pay attention on. Remember, like, share, subscribe. People out here driving nuts, man, I swear. But having high in cholesterol, high in hydrogenated fat, high in carbs, sugar. Sugar is the most crazy thing. I was having a smoothie from Smoothie King, guilty. And I was having also a smoothie from Tropical Smoothie. I'm guilty. At least once a day, maybe twice a day, just because I'm out working consistently on a basis. Hey, mom's food is always good. Mom's food is always good. Big shout out. Big shout out to your moms. What kind of food does moms cook? That's the best diet, actually. But yeah, so if you're having these, let me go back to the thought in itself. If you're doing a standard American lifestyle or with eating habits, it's going to affect you in the sense of compounding over time. There's going to be things that you'll notice how you feel. You're going to be more tired. You're going to be more cranky. You're going to be at that point where you're working your ass off if you are active in the gym and you're not seeing results in the gym. So that's why it is 80% of the thing that 80% of the thing that I focus on if I'm looking to get ripped and jacked. That's what I do, is I pay attention to my dieting, my meal habits. I keep bringing that to dieting. Enough of that, enough of that. I bring it back to my meal habits. I think, okay, what am I doing to not get the results that I want here? whether it's physical, whether it's mental, spiritual, whatever. That's one of the best things that you can do is cue into that. That was it for me when I was on that standard American eating habit of eating junk every day. And what is junk? It would be anything that you eat out at your Chipotle's, your Starbucks, your uh, whatever spoons. That's probably just a Colorado thing. But hey, yeah, it's good to put food in containers. It just depends on what kind of food that you're eating, because you want to make sure that you're storing it correctly so that you have the proper nutrient value at the time when you eat it. So just make sure that you're eating it at a timely manner. I do love meal prepping though, and having that available. So yeah, let's go back to the topic at hand. That was the first meal habit I had, was eating what everybody else is eating. And when I started making the shift was when I got into weightlifting and being conscious of my health, and that was way back. More so when I was a teen, I would say. And I introduced this one supplement to my life to get a huge change physically. And I was working out. I started working out from about age 8 to today, basically on a consistent basis. It started more so when I was a teen, probably seventh grade. And during this time when I was in seventh grade, I had this one supplement. If you guys can put it in the comments below as to what you think that one supplement is, I will let you know here in a second. But before I do that, let me do the sponsor. So I'm just kidding. I hate when I'm watching other YouTube videos and there's like, they subtly throw in the sponsor or the ad, and I was like, cringe, man, cringe. Like, I get it, you got to make a living, you got to make some money on the tube, but come on, man, like, come on. Some people have good sponsors, some people don't. But anyways, this supplement is, if you at the basis stick around there, this supplement is protein, whey protein, whey protein into my lifestyle. And mind you, I was lifting for a solid 4+ years. Um, and I noticed the results at first, of course, but being such a young kid, 10 to, what is that, 10 to 5, I got memory doing math, 10 to 6th grade, 10 to 12, for 2 years. Okay, I was lifting for 2 years solid. And this is just body weight stuff, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. I used to not be able to do pull-ups. Man, that I remember the times when I was not able to do pull-ups. Man, let me tell you. Anyways, I'm so many. It's crazy how the journey shifts and changes over time with this whole thing. That there's just, when you reflect on your journey, there's just mind blowing things that you never thought you would do, but you're doing, and you're doing it on a daily basis, right? And drinking whey protein is one of them, right? So when I added whey protein into my eating habits, my design, my meal design, that was something that really transitioned a lot of muscle mass being put on, a lot of weight being put on. I mean, at that time, I was weighing 165, 170, and I was at a point where I was like, okay, this is too much. I need to cut weight now. So I ended up cutting weight a little bit back, and that was when I started taking more of my supplements that I shouldn't have taken. And these ones I noticed no shift whatsoever. So I was a little bratty kid. I noticed the benefits of whey protein. I'm like, whoa, I'm getting gains. Like, this is good. But with those gains also came some belly gains, right? Most people, when they're brand new, you get the newbie gains. You guys know what I'm talking about if you're new lifting. You're lifting for a period of a month and you get fantastic results, right? So that was projected my results even more so with the whey protein. Like it made my results skyrocket. I would say I'm not going to try to put a number or gauge it like that, but it was something that was more physical that you can gauge, right? And bring it next to the following year or following years. When I went from teenage to, let's just say, young adult. So I'm lifting consistently since 13 till say 18. That's 5 years. Age 15 or 13 to 15 or 13 to 18. All those numbers, and I'm driving. What I really realized in my meal habits was that I was looking at a lot of gym science, and searching. We didn't have ChatGPT at that time, so I was searching up a lot of things that would be in relation to the Google. Like you just be Googling it, right? And there's a lot of crap that you see online, and most of the stuff that I saw was to eat carbs all the time. And mind you, I'm still eating, like, I would say you're still American habits, like you're healthy. Okay, I gotta merge. For that time when it was like, in that time period, I was eating your standard American. I had your standard American eating habits, and that was okay. But once I put a little twist on it with the common knowledge what people think is healthy, that's where I started to notice a change even more so, and that's kind of like summarizing this whole time. That might be a little bit confusing because I'm scattered right now. I'm scattered all over the place. Let me merge over. So let's just say your typical person. They look at marketing. Let me elaborate on that actually. Your standard person, they see marketing on food at the store, and it says natural, organic, base, all this crap. They think it's healthy, right? There's there's companies out there, there's entities, there's people out there that just want to mislead you, and they just want to make a buck. Those are those brands, those are those people, right? So that at that time when I was age 13 to 18, I fell victim to that. I was looking at those containers, I was looking at those marketing and ad campaigns, and I thought I was being healthy along with my whey protein, and I was putting on weight, but unbeknownst to me, I was silently harming my gut, and that is something that I think all of us are doing because and that's something that I think we are all doing because we eat what we see out here because it's convenient. Unfortunately, a lot of us are busy because that's the culture of the U.S. is to work, 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 grind, yeah, be busy, busy. So we have options available to us where it just makes life easier. Hence, we're headed into a time where there's going to be so much convenience. There's going to be so much convenience that people start to lose parts of their brain that no longer are functioning or because they're not getting challenged. And that's the crazy part. And I'm talking about AI, which I can go into that on a different topic, a different subject. But I want to recap here on the diet, the meal habits that I've had throughout my life, starting with the standard American meal habits. I don't use the word diets. I refrain from using that. That's short-term thinking, and we are lifelong thinkers. We are lifelong planners on this channel, right? So, number one, standard American eating habits. Number two was standard American eating habits plus whey protein, and falling for the marketing that I see on the day-to-day basis. We all see it, right? Things labeled that are healthy, but over time, when you're eating it, you start to feel like crap. That's why. So after that, age 18 to age 26, I would say, I was in college. I spent a long time in college. I studied health and exercise science and business entrepreneurship, and this journey really opened my eyes in a way that I would have judged myself if I was looking at myself from the outside looking in. If that makes sense. But therefore, this was a time where I am able to gain this knowledge and really shift the trajectory of my life. And that really is just life in general. Whenever you do things that seem out of body, like an out of body experience, those are the things that get you to propel forward in life. And I'm truly grateful for that. But let me go into the third one. And the third one during this time was carb cycling, but in a way where it didn't necessarily make sense. Is the quality of the carbs, right? So I'm still eating your standard American meal habit type of thing, lifestyle, and I'm eating my whey protein. But then I started to shift my carbs. I started to shift my carbs to whole grain because that was the marketing, right? Whole grain this, whole grain that. I was eating whole grain bread with peanut butter and jelly, having the sandwiches, the lunch meat, all of those things. That was like, whoa, what is going on right now? What is happening? So when I was eating this whole grain, I guess you could say diet, my I would get rashes on certain parts of my body, like on my forearms, my neck, just randomly. I wouldn't think much of it. Unbeknownst to me, now that I'm looking back at it, it was a issue with my gut and it's leaky gut essentially, and a lot of the things that I would eat would pierce through my gut, and this was even amplified on the next meal habits that I've introduced into my life after this period. So there was a huge realization during that time when I realized that whole grain doesn't mean squat. And there's just like a huge proponent on eating carbs, carb loading, and all these things. But with that carb loading, I didn't understand. Okay, how should my lifestyle go? How should my activity level be at that point, right? So, but then I was able to realize, you know, age 26 to last year, let's say age 26 to last year, I wanted to make a shift energetically. And I was diving into a lot of self-help, still do, but not as much. More so, I'm at the stage in my life where I'm implementing the self-help instead of just, reading it and basking in it. But that's something that I should be doing, is getting that bang back out. But yes, I realized that I came to the realization that I needed to be more energetic and conscious about the way that I live, the way that I eat. So I meditated as one. I ate with no distractions. I ate without distractions, so I wouldn't use my phone while eating, and I would breathe between each bite. I'd breathe between each bite. This is probably all shaky because my hand is just like right here. Anyways, that in itself, it did pretty good. It, you know, being mindful. This is where I would say I was being mindful about eating. And it was the first time in my life, age 26 ish, maybe 25. So I was starting to get more mindful. Mind you, I am mindful of this because obviously studying health and exercise science, I'm mindful of my health, but actually being present of what I'm eating and being in the moment and bringing more mindfulness, present moment. That was the first time where I really, therefore, there's just a lot of shift in myself, in my being, when I was eating all these different type of foods, and I thought, okay, let me. Oh, what the hell? Okay, there's like a military car right in the middle of the fucking highway. Just stop. Like what the hell? Anyways, hope people are paying attention. So I forget what I was when I'm yeah, yes. So as I was realizing the different textures of food that I'm bringing in, the way that I feel when I'm eating, my breath rate when I'm eating, who's around me when I'm eating, how is the inflammation in my body when I'm taking this food in, right? All of these things are coming about, and I was reading, or yeah, reading a lot of things on spirituality, and also I followed Ralph Smart, Infinite Waters, and he was speaking about energy. I was also talking or watching a lot of Elliot Hulse. And he was talking about, what was he talking about? He was talking about energy never dies, or is it ever created? It's transferred. That hit me deep from the journey that I was in, because I was like, huh, if I'm eating this food and it say it's chicken, because I was eating a lot of dry ass chicken with rice and broccoli. For my people that that are familiar with that diet, please hit the like and please comment. Let me know what your experience was on that. It is not pleasant. So as I was eating that, I was like, man, this dry ass chicken is not making me feel alive. And the things that really came about was the thoughts that came about at that time were, okay, let's not eat this anymore. Let's try something else. So I started phasing things out, started eating different type of meats. I cut out red meat. I cut out white meat. You know, that's the chickens, the turkeys. I cut out then fish. And this was a span of 30 days. Okay, see how I feel. Next 30 days, let's see how I feel. 90 days is now accomplished. Okay, let's see how I feel. Let's switch it up here and there. And I could go over on a different video why I do the 30, 60, 90 split up for habits. And that's a good one. That is a good one. That's going to help you be successful in not just life, but life. Anything that you really want to put yourself into is going to help you be successful. And it's learning how you learn and learning how habits control your life at that point. So, you know, this is age 26 to last year. I decided to switch over to being plant based. I decided to become vegan after I cut out all of the meats, every last bit of meat. Let me see if this is my exit. But I just want to share with you how I got to the plant based portion. So I cut that out and I was vegan for 90 days. I enjoyed the way that it made me look. I have some. It was ridiculous how much energy I had. There was so much clarity in the way that I thought, the way that I went about my day, went about any activities I was going through, whether it just be sitting down in front of a laptop or, you know, working in the yard, working in the business. So that passes by veganism. I stopped doing that. Why? Why did I stop doing veganism? Well, that was because I realized there was starting to be a lot more pudgy belly fat near the abdomen region. I was like, yo, this is not cool. I was still like getting shredded, but it was more like a skinny surfer boy type of swole. Like it was just you're ripped. That's it. Big. You just have muscle definition, but your muscles are like they're not big whatsoever. So when I went into and once I went into therefore when I went into the vegetarian vegetarian side of it, I decided to say, hold up, this feels great, except for the times when I eat carbs. Except for the times when I eat carbs, I'm going to eat just vegetarian keto. Vegetarian keto was one of the most crazy things that I've ever experienced in terms of consistent energy. I was working 16-hour shifts in the field, not feeling a thing. Uh, and that is kind of where I'm going to button it up there. I'll go over a part two because this is going to be so long and there's a lot of things that I missed. But I want you to come home with this. The best meal habits are going to be the one. It's going to be the one that works for you. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we're all experimenting. Every day is an experiment. But as we go about running the experiment and the experience, we get better at running the experiment and experience. I'm, I'm going to leave y'all with that thought. Actually, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to leave y'all with that thought. Your boy's going to check out right now. Remember to like, share, subscribe. I'm going to be back on the gram probably in the next 4 months or so. MAJSAYY. Peace, y'all.